Chapter 9. The Man Behind the Smile. Dr. Grayson stepped into the faint blue glow of the archive pillars, his footsteps soft against the polished stone floor. His usual warm, diplomatic manner was gone, replaced by something colder, sharper. The air itself felt tighter. Kai moved instinctively in front of Ethan, shoulders tensing. The boy didn't look like much, but the low crackle of static around his fingertips said otherwise. Grayson stopped a few paces away. "I'm disappointed," he said calmly. "Accessing a restricted ward without authorization is a serious violation." Kai forced a smile. "Oh, so this is the part where you pretend this is about rules." Grayson's eyes slid to Kai, calculating, assessing. "You're a Turner. That explains your creativity with boundaries." Kai swallowed. Ethan took a step forward. "What are you doing here, Dr. Grayson?" Grayson tilted his head slightly, studying Ethan with unnerving intensity. "That depends," he said, "on whether you're here because you're curious or because you know something you shouldn't." Ethan felt Kai tense even more. "Our access wasn't an accident," Ethan said. "We came to check the logs. A rift opened in the arena. A riftling came through." Grayson's expression didn't change. "And yet," he replied, "the grid recorded nothing." Ethan narrowed his eyes. "You knew." "Of course I knew," Grayson said softly. "I monitor the grid myself. I've been monitoring you since the moment you awakened." Kai muttered, "Creepy." Grayson ignored him. Ethan's heart hammered. "So what is going on? Why are rifts opening around me? Why didn't the grid detect either one?" Grayson stepped closer. "Because," he said, "they weren't supposed to be detected." Ethan stiffened. Kai whispered, "Oh no, that's a villain line. That is literally a villain line." Grayson sighed, annoyed. "I'm not your villain. Not yet, anyway." Ethan swallowed. "Then what are you?" Grayson looked at him, really looked, like he was inspecting machinery he'd built himself. "You're a variable," he said, "an anomaly, something that shouldn't exist, and yet does." "That's not an answer," Ethan snapped. "Fine," Grayson said, his patience thinning. "I'll give you a piece of the truth." He circled slowly around Ethan, hands clasped behind his back. "Your spontaneous dual-element awakening was not natural. Rift interference, rare though it is, can alter the elemental resonance during awakening rituals, sometimes destructively, sometimes," his eyes gleamed faintly, "uniquely." Ethan felt his breath catch. "You think a rift caused my awakening?" "No," Grayson stopped, directly in front of him. "I think a rift was drawn to your awakening." Ethan stared at him, stunned. Grayson continued, voice smooth and clinical. "You possess an elemental signature that doesn't match any recorded pattern. Fire and lightning coexisting naturally is unheard of. And your output levels are not those of an untrained cadet. They resemble something else." Ethan's pulse spiked. "Something like what?" Grayson studied him. "Your father." Silence crashed into the room. Ethan felt like the ground had disappeared beneath him. "My father wasn't a mage," he whispered. Grayson raised a brow. "Is that what you were told?" Kai muttered under his breath, oh no, here comes the family secret plot twist." Ethan ignored him, eyes locked on Grayson. "What do you mean my father wasn't—" He couldn't even finish the sentence. Grayson exhaled. "Your father wasn't a mage on paper, Ethan, but the Monroe Rift incident?" He paused. "His death wasn't an accident." Ethan's heart seized in his chest. Grayson continued. "There were irregularities in his arcane signature that day. The AMA sealed the report. I wasn't allowed to investigate. Ethan trembled. Then why bring it up now? Because, Grayson said, your awakening matched his readings. The entire archive seemed to tilt. Kai reached out to steady Ethan. Dr. Grayson, Kai said, voice low, why erase the rift from the logs? Why hide all of this? Grayson looked at him, expression unreadable. Because I'm not the only one watching Ethan. Ethan's skin prickled. Who else? Grayson hesitated. It was the first time Ethan had seen him unsure. There are people inside the AMA who don't share my preferences for transparency. They have their own goals, their own theories about you, and if they discover how unstable your power truly is, they will not treat you as a student. Ethan felt cold. What will they treat me as? He asked. Grayson didn't blink. A weapon. The word hit like a punch. Kai stepped forward, electricity crawling over his knuckles. Not happening. Grayson held up a hand. I'm not your enemy. If I wanted you taken, you'd already be gone. Ethan's fists shook. Then what do you want from me? He asked. Grayson stepped closer. To survive, he said softly. Ethan blanked. What? You're in danger, Ethan, more than you realize. Something out there, something connected to those rifts, is hunting you, and something inside this academy might be guiding it. He glanced toward the door. I can keep you safe for now, but you need training, real training, not remedial sessions, not basic cadet coursework. Ethan's breath trembled. What are you saying? I'm saying, Grayson replied, you need to get stronger than every mage in this building. And fast. Ethan swallowed. Why? Grayson's eyes hardened. Because the next rift won't send a riftling. He leaned in. It will send something big enough to finish what the first two started. A cold wave washed through Ethan. And what's that? Ethan whispered. Grayson's answer was simple. To take you. Chapter 10. Pressure Points. Ethan barely remembered leaving the archives. He barely remembered the echo of Grayson's footsteps fading behind them, or the metallic hiss of the door ceiling, or the dim, pulsing blue lights guiding them back to the surface. His mind replayed one thing, over and over, to take you. When they finally stepped out into the cool night air, Ethan felt a strange kind of shock, like he'd come up from underwater. Kai glanced at him. You okay? Ethan didn't answer immediately. He was thinking of his father, the smiling firefighter who'd lifted him onto his shoulders, the man who'd done everything for his family, the man who died in a tragic accident during a rift event. Except now Ethan had seen the look in Grayson's eyes. That wasn't the look of a man describing an accident. That was the look of someone who had known a truth he'd been forced to bury. Ethan? Kai's voice pulled him back. Ethan blinked. Yeah, I'm fine. Kai frowned. That was the least convincing fine I've ever heard. Ethan exhaled shakily. I'm just trying to understand everything. Kai kicked a loose pebble across the courtyard. Sparks flickered at his toes. Well, let's start with the biggest problem. He looked Ethan dead in the eyes. Someone powerful wants you. Ethan nodded slowly. And not in the good way? Nope, Kai said bluntly. In the human lab rat way. Ethan grimaced. Thanks, I needed that reminder. Kai shrugged. Hey, honesty builds strong friendships. Ethan cracked a faint smile despite himself. They walked in silence for a stretch, nearly reaching Dorm C, before Kai spoke again, softer. Ethan, whatever this is, you're not alone. Ethan raised a brow. But you barely know me. Kai's grin returned. Yeah, well, I have a thing for lost causes with cool powers. Ethan snorted. Great, I'm a lost cause. Kai patted his shoulder. A powerful lost cause. Wow, thanks. Anytime. Ethan felt a small knot in his chest loosen. Kai wasn't glamorous or famous or elite, but he was real. And right now, that meant everything. The next morning, Ethan woke with a feeling like a brick had settled on his ribs. He dressed slowly, mentally preparing for another day of training he probably wasn't ready for. Kai popped up from bed instantly, bright, energetic, the complete opposite of Ethan's exhaustion. Morning, Kai said, waving a toothbrush. Ready for another day of avoiding academic death? Barely. Kai grinned foamily. You'll live. I fought a riftling last night. Yeah, well, Kai said, rinsing his mouth. So did I, in my dreams. It chased me with homework. Ethan shook his head. You're unbelievable. I prefer charmingly resilient. Combat application. By midday, Ethan was in combat application, where cadets practiced tactical dueling under strict supervision. The room resembled a high-tech gymnasium mixed with a gladiator arena. Floating shields blipped overhead, auto-deploying if a spell went wrong. Instructor Rourke, a broad-shouldered man with a scar across his jaw, paced like a drill sergeant. Today, you will duel, Rourke said. Real combat experience is more valuable than any lecture. The cadets tensed. First pair, Marcus Hale and Ethan Ward. Ethan's stomach dropped. Marcus smirked, stepping forward. Perfect. I've been waiting. Kai whispered urgently behind Ethan. Dude, watch his footwork. He does a fake pivot on his left before... Kai, Ethan said, deadpan. I might die. Kai gave him a reassuring thumbs up. Then die with style. Ethan stepped into the duel circle. Marcus cracked his knuckles, flames blooming around his fists in a showy display. Don't worry, Ward. I'll go easy on you. No, Rourke barked. You will not. He looked at Ethan. Dual element or not, you need to learn to fight under pressure. Ethan exhaled slowly, feeling heat gather in his chest. The dual barrier ignited around them, a shimmering dome of energy. Rourke raised his hand. Begin. Marcus moved first, fast, sending a wave of orange flame across the circle. Ethan rolled aside, heat scorching his sleeve. He felt instinct surge behind his ribs and thrust out his hand. Fire erupted, meeting Marcus's flame midair. The collision blasted outward. Students yelped as the barrier rippled violently. Marcus laughed. Not bad, but let's see you block this. He planted his feet, gathering far more energy than before. A spiraling inferno shot toward Ethan, dense, powerful, a twisting column of heat. Ethan knew instantly he couldn't block it with fire alone. Lightning, he thought, just a little. He forced the spark upward. Violet arcs danced across his fingertips. Crack! A bolt shot forward, slamming into Marcus's inferno, splitting it apart and detonating in a cloud of steam and smoke. Students gasped. Marcus stumbled backward, shocked. You! His eyes burned with fury. Show off! Marcus thrust both hands forward. A condensed fireball formed, pulsing with unstable energy. Strong, reckless, borderline forbidden for cadets. Ethan braced. But the fireball never hit him, because someone stepped between them. Ava Coleman. Her hand raised. Her ice aura spiraled outward in a perfect arc, freezing the fireball midair. Then, crack! It shattered harmlessly. The room fell dead silent. Ava's cold gaze turned toward Marcus. Are you insane? That could have burned through the barrier. Marcus flushed. Stay out of it. Cadet Coleman, Rourke barked. Stand down. She lowered her hand, but didn't step away. Rourke rounded on Marcus. "That was excessive. You're done for today." Marcus opened his mouth, but one look at Rourke shut it. He stormed off, seething. Ava finally turned to Ethan. "You okay?" Ethan nodded stiffly. "Yeah, thanks." Ava paused, studying him like he was a complicated puzzle. "You're stronger than you think," she said quietly. "But you have a target on your back now." Ethan swallowed. "I noticed." Ava's expression didn't change. "Good. Notice harder. Something is happening around you, Ward. Something big." Ethan stared at her. Her voice lowered, almost a whisper. "And you're not the only one who feels it." Before he could ask what she meant, she walked away, her ponytail swinging with cold precision. Kai slid up beside Ethan. "Dude, you were saved by the Ice Queen herself. I didn't know she even spoke to people without a GPA of 5.0. Ethan didn't answer, because for one fleeting moment, in Ava's eyes, he had seen something unmistakable: fear. Not of Marcus, not of the duel, but of the same shadows that were following him. And if Ava Coleman was afraid, whatever was coming for Ethan was far worse than he imagined. Chapter 11. The Fire That Won't Rest. Ethan left combat application with his nerves buzzing, kept alive by a girl who shouldn't have interfered, nearly roasted by Marcus, and now this new certainty that whatever hunted him was not a misunderstanding or coincidence. Kai walked beside him, eating pretzels like nothing unusual had happened. "That was insane," Kai said between crunches. "Marcus nearly blew up the entire room. Ava swooped in like an ice-themed superhero. And you, my man, you threw lightning like you were born doing it." Ethan rubbed his forehead. "I wasn't. I barely know what I'm doing." Kai shrugged. "Talent beats experience, but burns out faster. You need training." "Everyone keeps telling me that." "Everyone is right," Kai said, tossing a pretzel into his mouth and missing. "Look, dude, you're not just strong, you're unstable." "Thanks." Again, honesty builds strong friendships. As they reached Dorm C, Ethan's wristband vibrated with a new alert. Mandatory remedial training. Blaze Arena, tonight, 1900. Instructor, Valencia Reyes. Kai whistled. "Reyes is really putting you through the grinder. She wants me to control fire, and lightning, and not explode." Kai patted his shoulder. Minor goals. Ethan didn't bother responding. He needed control, real control, enough to survive whatever came next, enough to stop Marcus, enough to stand on his own, enough to answer the question he feared most: what happened to my father? Night training, fire discipline. When Ethan arrived at the Blaze Arena that evening, the lights were dimmer than usual. Warm red runes glowed faintly across the floor. A single figure stood at the center, Instructor Reyes, arms folded, silhouette outlined by shimmering heat. "You're late," she said. "It's 1859. "Yes," Reyes replied. "Late." Ethan exhaled. "Okay, what do you want me to do?" Reyes pointed to a series of candle-sized flames arranged in a line. "Put them out." Ethan blinked. "With fire?" "Yes," she gestured toward them. "Control fire by absorbing it. Pull the heat into yourself. Leave only embers." "How am I supposed to do that?" "You're going to learn." Ethan swallowed. He stepped forward. The flames flickered, tiny, harmless, nothing compared to the infernos he had produced. He extended his hand toward the first flame. "Feel it," Reyes said. "Don't overpower it. Don't dominate it. Just invite it." Ethan let out a slow breath. Heat rose in his chest. The flame responded, leaning toward him like a curious creature. Good. So far, so good. Then Ethan felt the familiar surge, the tidal wave of heat and pressure he couldn't regulate. No, no, no! The spark behind his ribs exploded. The candles ignited all at once, bursting into a violent wave that washed across the platform. Reyes snapped her fingers hard. A shimmering wall of blue heat tore the flames apart, dispersing them harmlessly. Ethan stumbled backward. I'm sorry. Don't apologize, Reyes said, her tone unwavering. Understand. I tried. You forced it, she corrected. You panic. You feel heat building and you shove it outward. She stepped closer, close enough that Ethan could feel the steady warmth radiating from her. You need to learn to let the flame sit in your lungs without fear. That's easy for you, Ethan muttered. Your power doesn't try to blow up everything around you. Reyes raised an eyebrow. My fire nearly killed me when I was your age. Ethan froze. I lost control, burned down an entire training hall. She looked directly into his eyes. You're not special in suffering, Ward, only in potential. Ethan swallowed hard. Again. The candles reignited. Ethan forced himself to breathe deeper, slower. He reached toward the flames, feeling them twitch, reach, curl. He inhaled. The flames leaned toward him and dissolved into his palm like warm air, right into his chest. The warmth settled deep inside him, not dangerous or explosive, just glowing. Ethan gasped softly. He had done it. Reyes nodded once. Good. Again. They repeated the process, one flame after another, then dozens, then a spinning ring of fire, then a full arcane flare. Each time Ethan improved. Each time the heat felt a little less unpredictable. By the end of 2 hours, Ethan collapsed on the arena floor, panting, sweat dripping, chest glowing faintly from absorbed heat. Reyes knelt beside him. Remember this feeling, she said quietly. The fire is not your enemy, it's your shadow. Ethan looked at the ceiling, breath uneven. Instructor, can I ask you something? Reyes nodded. Do you believe what Grayson said about someone watching me? Reyes exhaled slowly. Yes. Ethan tightened his fists. Do you know who? No. Do you know why? No. Do you think it has to do with my dad? Reyes hesitated for the first time since he'd met her. Slowly, she nodded. Ethan felt his pulse spike. Reyes placed a firm hand on his shoulder. Listen carefully, Ethan. There are forces inside the AMA with agendas far greater than training cadets. You must be cautious. You must grow. And, above all, her eyes hardened. You must trust no one completely. Ethan swallowed. Not even you? Reyes met his gaze without blinking. Especially not me. The honesty in her voice made Ethan shiver. She rose to her feet. You're done for tonight. Rest. Tomorrow will be harder. Ethan slowly stood, body aching. As he left the arena, he felt something new in his chest. Not fear, not confusion, not panic, but a small, fragile ember of control, and a far more dangerous flame. Determination. Whatever hunted him, whatever hunted his father, would not find him weak. Not anymore. Chapter 12. The Girl Who Sees Too Much. The next morning, Ethan felt sore in places he didn't know existed. Rhea's training pushed him hard, harder than he thought possible. But beneath the aches, there was something new, a steadiness under his skin. His steps felt grounded, his breathing felt cleaner. His fire didn't twitch unpredictably with every emotion. Still dangerous, still volatile, but his. Kai noticed it immediately as they walked to morning classes. "Hey," Kai said, squinting at him. "You look taller." Ethan snorted. "I'm the same height." No, Kai insisted. "This is inner height, the height of someone who didn't blow up half the building last night. I only burned down a candle. You vaporized a candle." Fair." Kai grinned, patting him on the back. "Proud of you, buddy." Ethan groaned. "Never call me buddy again." "No promises." Arcane history. Their morning lecture took place in the vaulted auditorium of Professor Hale, Marcus's father. A stern man with sharp cheekbones, graying hair slicked back like polished steel, and an aura of power that rolled off him in waves. His gaze swept the room with cold precision. "Today," Professor Hale began, "we discuss the founding of the Arcane grid and why its security protocols have never been breached in the Academy's history." Ethan felt Kai tense beside him. Hale continued, pacing. "The grid is flawless, unbreakable, designed by the greatest magical minds in the world. It has never failed, it cannot fail." Ethan swallowed. A phantom riftling claw flickered in his mind. Kai whispered, "Someone's lying." Ethan thought the same, but they stayed silent. Near the front row sat Ava Coleman, posture straight, eyes focused. Except she wasn't looking at Hale, not exactly. Her gaze kept drifting over her shoulder, toward Ethan. Like she was tracking him, like she was measuring something. After class, Ethan and Kai gathered their things. Before they could leave, Ava stood in their path. Kai stiffened. Hi?" Ava ignored him entirely. She stared at Ethan. "We need to talk." Kai's eyebrows shot up. "I'll just go over there, far, far over there." He backed away with exaggerated awkwardness. Ava crossed her arms. "Ward, what happened yesterday in combat wasn't normal." Ethan hesitated. "Marcus attacked me." "No," her voice cut through his. "I'm not talking about Marcus. I'm talking about you." Ethan blinked. "Me?" Ava stepped closer, close enough that her ice element subtly cooled the air around them. "When you fired lightning in that duel," she said quietly, "it spiked the room's temperature by 6 degrees. "Lightning raises temperature," Ethan said hesitantly. "Not like that." Ava's gaze sharpened. "It wasn't just lightning. Something else flared with it. Another resonance. Something unstable." Ethan's breath caught. The third spark. The one even Grayson hadn't detected. "I don't know what you think you saw," Ethan said, "but I'm still learning." "Don't lie to me." Ava's voice dropped to a whisper. "I can sense elemental instability better than most people. And you, Ward, you're carrying something that isn't fire or lightning." Ethan's blood chilled. Ava leaned in. "I don't know what awakened inside you," she murmured, "but if you don't figure it out, it will tear you apart from the inside." Ethan stared at her, stunned. "Why are you telling me this?" Ava stepped back, expression unreadable. "Because I've seen someone with that kind of instability before." Ethan's heart raced. "Who?" Ava's jaw tensed. "My brother." Ethan blinked. "I didn't know you had—" "He's dead," she said flatly. Ethan went silent. Ava continued, voice cool but trembling at the edges. "He awakened with 2 elements, strong ones, like you. We thought it was a blessing, but his magic became wrong, twisted. He couldn't control it, and one day, during training, something inside him ruptured, exploded. He didn't survive." Ethan's stomach twisted. "Ava, I'm sorry." She shook her head. "Don't be. Just listen." her eyes locked on his. If your power is anything like his was, you need to train harder than anyone else. You need to survive. Ethan nodded slowly. I'm trying. No. Ava's voice hardened. You're surviving, not trying. Trying is what kids do in public schools. But you, whatever is happening to you, this is bigger. She stepped closer again. And if you die here, Ward, it won't just be your problem. There are people in this academy who know what you are, and they want it. Ethan's pulse hammered. Who? Ava took a long breath. I don't know yet. She met his gaze, and for the first time, Ethan saw fear in her eyes too. But I'll help you, she said softly, if you let me. Ethan didn't move, didn't breathe. Ava Coleman, the elite, the genius, the girl whose family practically ruled the city, was offering help, was offering to get involved in a secret that could implicate the AMA, the Academy, and Ethan's own past. Why? Ethan whispered. Ava's expression softened, almost imperceptibly. Because I won't watch someone else die the way my brother did. Ethan felt something shift in his chest. Not fire, not lightning, something human. Ava stepped back. Training hall, tonight, after your remedial session with Reyes. She paused. Don't be late. Then she turned and walked away, quiet, precise, cold and controlled. But Ethan knew better now. She wasn't cold. She was scared, and she was stepping into the shadows with him anyway. Kai returned, eyes wide. So, that looked intense. Ethan exhaled. Yeah. Kai grinned. Congrats, buddy. You now have 2 problems. Ethan frowned. 2? Kai held up a finger. 1. Rifts, conspiracies, and mysterious assassination creatures. He held up a second. 2. A terrifyingly talented girl who actually wants to help you. Ethan groaned. That second one doesn't sound like a problem. Kai slung an arm around him. Oh, it will be. Chapter 13. Night of 3 Flames. Ethan stood outside the training annex, the moon high above the academy towers. The campus was quieter at night, its runes glowing faintly like embers that refused to die out. He checked his wristband. 19:02. Late again. Reyes was going to kill him. He stepped inside the Blaze Arena, bracing for a lecture. But Reyes wasn't alone. Ava Coleman stood beside her. Ethan froze. Ava glanced at him with a look that said, "We discuss this later." Reyes did not glance. She glared. "You're late, Ward." Sorry. No excuses, Reyes snapped. Tonight, you're learning advanced fire shaping. Ethan blinked. Isn't that an upper-level skill? Yes, she crossed her arms. You have upper-level problems. Ava stepped forward. I'm assisting. Ethan didn't hide his confusion. You're helping teach me? Ava shrugged lightly. Lightning users shouldn't learn alone. It's too dangerous. That's not lightning, Reyes corrected. Tonight is fire. Ava smirked slightly. Fire users shouldn't learn alone either. Reyes ignored them both and gestured toward 3 floating orbs of fire hovering in a triangular formation. Tonight's goal, shape all 3 orbs into stable rotation. Ethan stared. Rotation? Yes, Reyes pointed at each orb. 1 represents your core flame, 1 your emotional flame, and the 3rd your uncontrolled flame. If you can't rotate them together, you will never balance your power. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. Sounds impossible. Good, Reyes said, because if you get it wrong, you will explode. Ethan's stomach dropped. What? Ava cut in calmly. She's exaggerating. Reyes raised an eyebrow. Am I? Probably not. Ethan took a nervous step back. Wait, so what happens if? Ward, Reyes interrupted. Focus. The first flame, core. Ethan approached the first orb. It floated like a small sun, red gold and warm, pulsing with a steady rhythm. His core flame. This one he knew. This one he understood. He extended his hand and let the heat wash into him. The orb flickered, then aligned with his palm, rotating slowly with his breath. Reyes nodded. Good. Core flame stable. Ava watched intently, arms crossed, but expression softer than usual. The second flame. Emotion. The second fireball glowed brighter, hotter, unsteady, like a flame caught in a breeze. Ethan stepped closer. It trembled, flared, receded. Ava warned, "Don't let it control you. Feel, but do not feed it." Ethan inhaled. "I can do this." The flame surged toward him. Heat flashed behind his eyes. Anger, fear, memories of the rooftop, Marcus's taunts, the riftling's claws. His heartbeat spiked. The flame burst outward. Reyes snapped her fingers. Boom! A shockwave of blue heat killed the explosion mid-air. Reyes glared. Again. Ethan winced. "Sorry. Don't apologize. Control." Ava stepped beside him, her voice low. "Your emotional flame is tied to instability. Don't push it away. Don't fear it. Recognize it." Ethan closed his eyes. He lowered his shoulders, and he breathed. Anger, fear, confusion. Yes, but also determination, pain, hope. He reached toward the emotional flame. It leaned toward him, became steady, and rotated slowly around his core flame. Reyes nodded once. Better. Ava quietly smiled. The third flame, uncontrolled. This orb was different. Dark red, almost black around the edges, unsteady, dangerous. It hissed with heat spikes that distorted the air. Ethan felt something inside him tighten. Reyes stepped back. Ava's posture stiffened. "This," Reyes said, "is the part of your fire that you do not understand, the one connected to your awakening, the one the rift touched." Ethan's pulse quickened. "You mean—" "Yes," Reyes said. "This is the flame that might kill you one day, unless you master it now." Ethan swallowed hard. He stepped toward the orb. The room grew hotter with each step. The orb vibrated violently, reacting to him. Ava's expression changed, her eyes widening, pupils narrowing. "Reyes," she whispered, "that flame is too strong." "He needs to try," Reyes said softly. The third flame surged, expanding, thrumming like a heartbeat. Ethan reached for it. It reached back, and something inside him cracked open. Heat flooded his chest. Not warm, not natural. A furnace, a storm, a sun trying to tear out of his ribs.
"No, wait," Ethan gasped, stumbling. The flame wrapped tendrils of heat around his arm. Ava grabbed his other arm, pulling him back. "Stop, you're pushing too fast." "I'm not," Ethan choked, shaking violently. "It's pulling." Reyes moved instantly, slamming her palms together. A wave of blue heat shot forward, but the dark flame resisted. It pushed against Reyes, against Ava, against Ethan. Ethan's vision blurred, heat blinding him, pain lancing through his chest. Something is wrong. This isn't my fire. This is something else. The orb pulsed violently. Crack. The flame shattered. A burst of dark heat erupted outward, swarming around Ethan, crawling across his skin, electric and violent and wrong. Ava screamed, "Reyes, cut it!" Reyes slammed her palm into the ground. Boom! A dome of blue-white force collapsed over Ethan, extinguishing the flame in a single violent implosion. Silence. Smoke drifted upward. Ethan was on the ground, trembling, breath shallow, fire marks seared into his uniform. Ava knelt beside him. Her hand on his shoulder shook. "Ward? Ethan, can you hear me?" Ethan's voice flickered back. "Yeah, I'm here." Ava exhaled in relief, but didn't let go. Reyes knelt in front of him, her expression grim. "That flame," she said slowly, "does not belong to fire." Ethan blinked. "What?" Ava's voice trembled. It felt twisted, like something from the void. Reyes nodded. "Your awakening wasn't dual element, it was triple. Fire, lightning, and something the AMA has no record of." Ava whispered the word Ethan feared most. Void. Ethan felt the room spin. Reyes gripped his shoulders. "Ethan, listen carefully. Void is not an element. It is not natural. It does not come from this world." Ethan stared at her, heart hammering. "So what does that mean?" Reyes answered in a low whisper. "It means you didn't awaken a third element." She swallowed. "You were infected." Ethan's breath stopped. Ava's eyes widened with horror, and in that moment, the truth felt colder than any ice Ava could conjure. Something inside Ethan didn't belong to him. Something inside him came from the rift.
Chapter 14, The Third Pulse. The words echoed in Ethan's skull long after they were spoken. Infected. Void. Not an element. Not human. Not from this world. He lay on the training floor, chest rising and falling in shallow, uneven breaths. Ava still knelt beside him, her hand steady on his shoulder despite the tremble in her fingers. Reyes paced in a tight circle, heat shimmering off her skin as she muttered calculations under her breath. Ethan swallowed, voice cracking. "I'm infected? With what?" Reyes stopped pacing. "With something we don't have a name for." Ava, face pale, added softly, "Something that came through the rift." Ethan's heartbeat thundered. No, that can't be right. I'm human. I'm normal. His voice cracked. "I'm not a monster." Ava squeezed his shoulder. "You're not." Reyes didn't soften. "You're not a monster, but you are changed." Ethan looked up at her helplessly. "How long have you known?" Reyes exhaled. "I suspected. Your elemental instability was too extreme. Lightning and fire together are rare but possible. But that third pulse, that was different. Wrong." "Wrong?" Ethan whispered. Reyes knelt in front of him. For the first time, her voice was gentler. "Listen to me, Ethan. You didn't choose this. A rift touched you, or something reached out during your awakening." Ava added, "Or something was searching for you." Ethan shivered. He remembered the rooftop, the riftling's eyes, the way lightning had flickered before he even understood what it was, and then the arena rift, bigger, stronger, faster. His voice trembled. "The rifts? They're following me because of this void thing?" Ava and Reyes shared a look. Ava nodded. "Yes." Ethan felt a hollow drop in his stomach. "But why? What does it want?" Reyes stood, crossing her arms sharply. "That's what we have to find out before the AMA does." Ethan blinked up at her. "But aren't you AMA?" Reyes's jaw tightened. "I'm Academy staff. That isn't the same." Ava stood too, brushing ash off her knees. "There are factions inside the AMA. Some want to protect cadets. Some want to control them. Some want to weaponize anything unusual. She looked directly at Ethan. "And what's inside you is the rarest anomaly in the country." Ethan's skin crawled. What if it takes over? What if it grows? What if I hurt someone? Ava stepped toward him. "You won't. You don't know that." Ava's voice softened. "I watched my brother die from instability, Ethan. I know exactly what it looks like. And you're not there. Not even close." Ethan's chest tightened emotionally. Reyes cleared her throat sharply. "We're wasting time. Ward, get up." He forced himself to stand. Reyes pointed to the dark scorch mark where the void flame had ruptured. "What happened here was controlled. That means you still dominate your own body. The void influence is weak, dormant, but it's there." Ethan rubbed his arms unconsciously, suddenly feeling cold. "So what do we do?"
Reyes's answer was immediate. "We train you harder than any cadet in Academy history." Ava nodded. "Tonight was just the beginning." "But," Ethan said, voice shaking, "what if I can't handle it?" Ava stepped close enough that he felt her breath. "Then we'll help you handle it." Reyes nodded once. Then her voice hardened like iron. "Ethan, look at me." He forced himself to meet her gaze. "You are not cursed. You are not doomed. You're not a weapon, unless you choose to be." Her eyes burned with conviction. "You're a cadet, my cadet, and I will not let anything take you." Ethan swallowed hard. The fear didn't vanish, but something else rose beneath it, a thin, fragile thread of resolve. He nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll fight it." Ava exhaled, relieved. Reyes gave a single approving nod. "Good," Reyes said, "because whatever infected you will not stop." The doors suddenly rattled. A burst of static jumped across the runes. All three of them turned sharply. A faint whisper shimmered across the arena floor, a voice not made of sound, but electricity. Ava whispered, "What is that?" Ethan's breath froze, because the whisper felt like it came from his own chest. "Ethan." A distorted murmur, a hollow echo. "We see you." The darkness inside him stirred, for just a moment. Ethan stumbled backward, grabbing his chest. Ava caught his arm. "Ethan!" Reyes seized his other arm, activating a stabilization rune on her wrist. "Stay with us." The whisper faded. The arena became silent again. Ethan gasped, shaking violently. Ava held him upright. Reyes's face darkened with the first hint of fear Ethan had ever seen in her. "That voice," she whispered, "came from the void." Ethan looked at both of them, horrified. "What does it want from me?" Ava didn't answer. Reyes didn't answer. The silence spoke for them. And Ethan realized whatever infected him was only beginning to wake up.
Chapter 15. Fault Lines. Ethan couldn't sleep. He lay in bed long after Kai's snoring filled the room, staring at the ceiling as the whisper reclayed in his skull. "We see you." Not I. We. That was somehow worse. He pushed the blanket off, unable to stay still. His chest still tingled faintly, like the echo of static trapped under his ribs. His fire felt muted, his lightning felt dim, and beneath both, something cold, something foreign, something he didn't understand. He rubbed his arms. The room felt colder than usual. "Ethan?" Kai's voice was groggy. He turned his head. Kai was sitting upright, hair sticking up like he'd been electrocuted in his sleep. "You okay, dude?" Ethan forced a nod. "Yeah, just thinking." Kai blinked slowly. "Bad thinking?" "Yeah." Kai slid out of bed and plopped down beside Ethan. Want to talk about it? Not really. Cool, I'm gonna ask anyway. Kai hugged his knees. So, void thing whispering in your ear. That's fun. Ethan shot him a look. Kai, it's not funny. I know, Kai said, suddenly serious. I joke when I'm scared. That shut Ethan up. Kai continued quietly. You're not alone in this, even if it feels like it. Ethan looked away. I don't want to drag you into something dangerous. Buddy, Kai said with a dry laugh, you became my roommate. I've already been dragged. Ethan didn't answer. Kai nudged him. Look, I don't know what's happening to you, but I've never seen you quit, not once, even when Marcus tried to deep fry your face. Ethan chuckled weakly. That was, one of his milder attempts. Exactly. You got this. And you got me. And Ava. And probably Reyes, if she doesn't kill you with training first. Ethan took a slow breath. Thanks, he said quietly. Cool. Emotional moment over. Go to sleep. Ethan smiled despite everything. But sleep didn't come easy. Morning. System breach. The academy was buzzing the next day. Students whispered in the halls, professors looked tense. Drones zipped overhead, scanning aggressively. Kai grabbed Ethan's sleeve as they approached the courtyard. Dude, something's happening. A group of senior cadets huddled near the fountain, staring at their wristbands in disbelief. Ethan and Kai pushed closer. A senior cadet muttered, It was a system breach. Had to be. The grid went dark for 5 seconds. Another whispered, Impossible. The grid never goes down. Kai's eyes widened. Oh no. Ethan stiffened. Kai, 5 seconds? When? Kai checked his band. Exactly around midnight. Ethan's stomach dropped. Midnight? When the whisper happened. When the void inside him stirred. Ethan, whisper... Kai said, I think the grid felt your... thing. Ethan clenched his jaw. Or the void thing made the grid feel it. Kai swallowed. Even worse. Their fear thickened when Professor Hale rushed through the courtyard, speaking urgently into his comm. No, that wasn't a power fluctuation. Someone or something overwhelmed the main node. Yes, I know it's unprecedented. Increase surveillance. We cannot show weakness with cadets on campus. He passed Ethan without noticing him, but his words left a cold trail in their wake. Kai grabbed Ethan's arm. You have to tell Reyes. No, Ethan said immediately. Not yet. Kai gaped. Dude, why not? Ethan looked at the sky, where drones swarmed aggressively. Because if this gets out, every AMA faction we don't trust will jump on it. Kai hesitated. What about Ava? Ethan swallowed. Ava already knows part of it. That's enough for now. Kai wasn't convinced. But Ethan wasn't ready to admit the truth. He didn't want Ava to see how scared he really was. Not yet.
Elemental control. 2. The elemental atrium felt heavier than usual. Instructor Reyes stood at the front, arms folded, expression grave. She scanned the room, each student, each face, before speaking. You all noticed the grid fluctuation last night. Murmurs rippled through the cadets. Reyes raised a hand, silencing them instantly. This academy is safe. You are safe. But the world beyond these walls is changing, faster and more dangerously than ever. Her gaze flicked, briefly, almost imperceptibly, to Ethan. He felt his stomach twist. Reyes continued, Most rifts are random, unpredictable, but some are not. Some are intentional. The room went silent. Ava's eyes widened subtly. Ethan felt Kai tense beside him. Reyes stepped closer. You are all future defenders of this city. You must be ready for threats that do not behave like the textbook examples. Her eyes locked onto Ethan again. But some threats, she said quietly, are already here. Ethan swallowed. Did she mean him? Or the thing inside him? Reyes didn't clarify. Instead, she clapped her hands sharply. We begin advanced regulation techniques today. Pair up. Students moved, forming pairs. Ava beelined straight for Ethan.
Kai blinked. Are you serious? Ava Coleman again? Ava ignored him. She grabbed Ethan's wrist. We trained together today. I need to see something. Kai raised both eyebrows so hard they nearly flew off his face. I'll just, pair with that wall. Bye. He ran off. Ava pulled Ethan to an isolated platform. Show me the pulse, she demanded. Ethan tensed. What pulse? Don't lie. When the void stirred last night, you felt it. I saw it in your eyes. Ethan hesitated, then nodded slowly. Ava's expression remained calm, but her pupils flickered with faint ice blue light. Good, she said. Now make it happen again. Ethan almost laughed. You want me to intentionally trigger the thing that could kill me? Yes. Ava. Then prove it. Ethan stared at her. He could see something hard behind her eyes. Not cruelty. Something closer to desperation. She wasn't afraid of him. She was afraid for him. Ethan took a deep breath. Fine, but if I explode, Ava smirked faintly, then I'll freeze what's left. Comforting. Wasn't meant to be. Ethan inhaled again, closed his eyes, reached inward, past the fire, past the lightning, to the cold, trembling shadow beneath. The void pulse. It stirred. A ripple of darkness crawled across his veins. Ava's breath caught. Ethan, your aura. But Ethan didn't hear the rest, because the whisper returned, soft, broken, familiar. Ethan. His heart seized. We hunger. Ava grabbed him. Ethan, stop, stop! But the void pulse flared. A spark of darkness rushed up Ethan's spine. His vision turned black, and something inside him finally woke up. Not fully, not completely. Just enough to say, soon. And then the world snapped back. Ethan collapsed forward, catching himself on shaking hands. Ava grabbed his shoulders, eyes wide with fear. Ethan, look at me. He did. Her face was pale, terrified. You didn't just trigger the pulse. You answered it. Ethan's blood ran cold. What does that mean? Ava swallowed. It means the void inside you is learning your voice. Ethan's heart froze. Ava's voice shook. And next time, it might answer back.
Chapter 16. The First Rule of Monsters. Ava dragged Ethan into an empty side chamber off the elemental atrium, slamming the reinforced door behind them. Arcane lights flickered to life overhead. Ethan leaned against the wall, chest still heaving, sweat cold on his brow. His fingertips trembled with the fading echo of the void pulse. Ava stood in front of him, breathing hard, her eyes sharp and furious. What were you thinking? She hissed. I told you to trigger it. I meant controlled awakening, not whatever that was. Ethan ran a shaking hand through his hair. It just pulled me in. It felt like it knew exactly where to strike. Ava paced the room, ice crystals forming and melting at her heels. The void isn't an element, she said. It's an intelligence, a hunger. It responds when you reach for it, but not the way normal magic does. I know, Ethan whispered. I felt it. No, Ava snapped. You didn't feel it. It felt you. Ethan's breath hitched. Ava stopped pacing. She faced him fully. You cannot listen to that voice, she said firmly. You cannot acknowledge it. You cannot answer it. Do you understand? Ethan swallowed. It was barely more than a whisper. That's how it starts. Ava stepped closer. One whisper, then another, then it changes. It adapts. It finds the cracks in your control. Ethan lowered his eyes. Like my core flames? Exactly, Ava exhaled sharply. If the void learns you the way your fire does, Ethan, you won't just lose control. You'll become something else. Ethan shivered. I'm trying. I'm doing everything I can. Ava's voice softened. I know. He blinked, surprised by the sudden gentleness. She stepped closer, close enough that Ethan could feel the faint chill of her magic. You're fighting something no cadet has ever faced. She paused. And you're still here. That matters. Ethan looked at her, really looked. This wasn't the cold prodigy everyone feared. This was someone trying desperately not to lose another person to forces she didn't understand. Ava, he said quietly, you don't have to help me. This isn't your fight. Yes, Ava said, her voice barely above a whisper. It is. Before Ethan could reply, the door cracked open. Kai burst inside. Okay, there you are. Holy sparks, what happened? Everyone's freaking out. A drone swarm triggered a lockdown in the hall. Somebody thought there was an elemental meltdown or something. He froze mid-sentence as he took in the scene. Ethan pale and shaking, Ava inches away from him. Kai's eyebrows rose. Should I leave? He asked slowly. Ava stepped back instantly, expression snapping back to neutral. No. Kai pointed at Ethan. Did he do the thing again? Ava nodded tightly. The pulse responded. Kai whistled. And you're still alive. Neat. Ethan groaned. Kai. Kai waved a hand. Buddy, you do not get to complain. I'm the sidekick here. I have a right to be dramatic.
Ava rolled her eyes. You are not his sidekick. Okay, co-protagonist then. Ethan pinched the bridge of his nose. Can we not do this right now? Kai clapped his hands once. Great. So, should we be panicking? Ava inhaled deeply. Not yet. But we need answers. From? Kai asked. Ava hesitated. Grayson, Ethan said. Ava nodded grimly. Kai made a face. The walking mystery novel? You really want to trust him? No, Ava said instantly, but he knows something. He's involved, whether he admits it or not. Kai folded his arms. Or he's making himself involved. Which is why, Ava continued, we go carefully. We ask the right questions. Ethan looked between the two of them. So, what's the plan? Ava straightened. Tonight, we meet outside the research wing. There's a secure AMA sublab beneath it, Grayson's personal workspace. If he's hiding something, it will be there. Kai raised a hand. And how do we get into a top-secret AMA lab guarded by runes, drones, biometric locks, and, oh yeah, literal magical laser grids? Ava's lips curved faintly. That's why we have you. Kai blinked. Then his eyes lit up. Oh, he grinned. Oh, yes, I can break in. I can definitely break in. Ethan stared at him. That's not reassuring. It shouldn't be, Ava muttered. Kai pointed finger guns. Reckless and brilliant. That's my brand. Ava sighed. You're going to get us killed. Kai shrugged. Probably. Ethan's chest tightened. Not with fear, but with something strange. A team. A real one. Ava noticing what others didn't. Kai refusing to leave him behind. Reyes pushing him to the brink so he could handle what was coming. He wasn't alone. Not anymore. Ava met his eyes. Tonight, she said, we find the truth. Ethan nodded slowly. But as they left the chamber, the faintest whisper crawled across the back of Ethan's mind. Soon. He stiffened. Ava noticed instantly. Ethan? He forced a breath. It's nothing. Just an echo. Kai frowned. Echo of what? Ethan didn't answer. Because the void wasn't whispering anymore. It was waiting. Chapter 17. Into the Lion's Den. Night fell over New Arcadia like a shroud. Most cadets were asleep or buried in late-night study sessions. Professors retreated to their quarters. The academy lights dimmed to their soft, bluish nighttime glow. But three shadows moved swiftly across the courtyard, keeping to the darker paths between buildings. Ethan, Ava, Kai. The trio stopped behind a tall hedge overlooking the research wing, its sleek metal walls gleaming with faint golden runes. Kai peeked around the hedge. Okay, good news. I don't see laser grids. Ava folded her arms. There won't be visible ones. This is AMA tech. They're hidden. Kai exhaled loudly. Right, of course. Hidden laser death taps. Ethan tugged his hood lower. So how do we get inside? Kai grinned. Easy. Ava shot him a look. If you say, we walk in, I will freeze your mouth shut. Come on, Ava, give me some credit. He rolled up his sleeve. The technomancer graft embedded under his skin glowed faintly. Veins lit with shifting blue circuitry. Ethan blinked. Will that actually work on AMA systems? Kai shrugged. We'll find out. Ava rubbed her temples. This is insane. Correction, this is heroic. Ava gestured toward the building. Lead the way, hacker boy. Kai winked and dashed toward the research wing's side access panel. The first door. Kai crouched at the panel while Ethan and Ava kept watch. He placed his palm over the glowing interface. His graft pulsed. So did the panel. Okay, let's see. AMA firewall, external lock, quantum bypass. Ooh, they use these outdated protocols. Ew. Ethan blinked. You're hacking a federal lab like it's a video game. Kai grinned. Everything's a video game if you're dumb enough. Ava whispered harshly. Can you focus before we get arrested? Relax. Kai pressed a sequence into the panel. Almost. The panel flashed red. Ava tensed. Kai. Kai whispered. Shh. Wait. Wait. Then, click. The panel glowed green. Told you. Easy. Ava grabbed his sleeve and yanked him back behind the hedge. Are you insane? You tripped an internal lock. Nope, Kai said, offended. I bypassed it. With style. Ethan shook his head. How are you even allowed to attend this school? Genius. Pure genius. Ava muttered. Pure idiocy. Kai waved them forward. Come on, door's open. They slipped inside. The research wing after hours. The interior was cold and quiet, far quieter than any academic building should be. The hall lights glowed faintly, powered down for the night. Cameras tracked slowly across the hallways. Ava placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. Stay close. Ethan nodded, heart pounding. Kai moved with surprising stealth, tapping into small control panels, disabling cameras for a few seconds each time. Okay, Grayson's lab should be 2 levels down, but the elevators are locked. Of course they are. Ethan whispered. So we take the stairs? Kai made a face. Ugh, fine. But they have pressure plates. Don't step on the ones that... Ava pressed a finger to his lips. We get it. Just lead. Kai nodded, offended, and tiptoed toward the stairwell. They descended 2 levels with careful footing. Ava went first. Ethan followed. Kai trailed behind, muttering about ungrateful teammates. The lower levels felt wrong. Too quiet, too sterile, too empty. Ava stopped at the next landing. This doesn't feel like an academic lab. It's not, Ethan whispered. He said he worked with AMA special research. Kai peeked around the corner. Well, that checks out. They stared. At the bottom of the stairs, a thick glass door blocked their path, reinforced with heavy runes. Above it, the sign read,
AMA Secure Research. Authorized personnel only. Level V access required. Kai's face lit up. Oh, this is so cool. Ava crossed her arms. Kai. Terrifying and illegal. Ethan pressed a hand to the door. Can you open it? Kai grinned. You doubt me? You wound me. He pressed his palm to the access panel.
His graft glowed. The panel flickered. Runes shifted. Ava held her breath. Ethan prayed silently. Kai whispered, "Just a little more." Then, alarm. A shrill siren burst through the hallway. Red lights flashed everywhere. Ava grabbed Ethan's arm. "They know we're here!" Kai swore. "No, that was a proximity trip. Door wasn't even locked yet." Ethan stepped back. "No time. We have to run." Before he finished, the glass door hissed and slowly slid open. The alarm stopped. Just stopped. Instantly, like someone else canceled it. Kai blinked. Did I do that?" "No," Ava whispered. Her voice trembled. Ethan felt the hair on his arm stand up. A low hum filled the hallway. A steady pulse of arcane energy, familiar in a way that made Ethan's stomach twist. Ava touched his shoulder. "Do you feel that?" Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes," he whispered. His chest buzzed faintly, like something inside him was waking again. Kai swallowed. "Guys, someone is in there." Ethan stepped up to the door. Ava grabbed his hand. "Ethan, don't. We don't know what's inside." "Yes," Ethan said quietly. "That's why we came." And he stepped inside. Inside Grayson's lab, the lab lights flickered awake as they entered, illuminating rows of containment pods, arcane circuitry, floating monitors, and rune-sealed data cores. But one thing caught Ethan's eye immediately. A giant cylindrical tank at the center of the room, filled with swirling violent mist, crackling faintly with lightning, pulsing with a heartbeat-like rhythm. Ethan froze. Ava inhaled sharply. "Is that—" Kai whispered, horrified. "A void core." Ethan took a step toward it, drawn like a moth to flame. A whisper stirred in his mind. "Come." Ava lunged forward. "Ethan, no!" She grabbed his arm, yanking him back. Ethan blinked. The whisper faded. Kai pressed himself against the wall. "That thing is alive." Ava stared at the tank with open shock. "This is AMA research on void energy?" Ethan's voice shook. "Why does it sound like the thing inside me?" A new voice answered from the shadows. "Because, Ethan." The trio whirled around. Dr. Grayson stepped into the light. Hands behind his back, expression unreadable, eyes sharper than knives. "It's the same source." Ethan's blood froze. Ava stepped in front of Ethan, ice gathering around her fists. "You've been experimenting with void energy? That's forbidden." Grayson lifted a hand. "Calm yourself, Miss Coleman." "Calm? You're working with something that could corrupt entire cities." Grayson smiled faintly. "That depends on the city." Ethan's chest tightened. "You infected me." Grayson's smile didn't fade. "No, Ethan. The void touched you long before I ever met you." He stepped closer. "I recognized what you were the moment I saw your awakening." Ava's voice was ice. "What is he?" Grayson's gaze locked onto Ethan. "You," Grayson whispered, "are a conduit." Ethan's breath caught. "A bridge between our world and the void beyond." Ava grabbed Ethan's arm, pulling him back. Kai shook his head fiercely. No, hard pass. Ethan is not a bridge. Bridges get stepped on and explode." Grayson ignored them. "I brought you here," he said softly, "to offer a choice." Ethan stared, trembling. "What choice?" Light flickered across Grayson's eyes. "You can learn to control the void, or it will control you." Ava stepped forward sharply. "No, you don't get to decide that." Grayson finally looked at her, really looked, his eyes calculating. "Miss Coleman, you have no idea how big this is." She glared.
Then explain it. Grayson took one slow breath. Then he said, "A war is coming." He stepped aside, revealing the void core tank. And he is the first shot fired. A cold tremor ran through Ethan's body. Kai whispered, "Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Ethan, your heart just flickered." Ava's eyes widened. She grabbed Ethan's face. "Ethan, look at me. Stay here. Don't listen." But Ethan wasn't hearing her. He wasn't hearing anything. Because the void tank pulsed again, stronger, and inside his mind, "Soon we open." Ethan's knees buckled. Ava caught him immediately, and Grayson whispered, almost with awe, "It's already begun."
Chapter 18. The Conduit Awakens. Ethan's legs felt like water. The world spun around him, the lab's white lights blurring into spirals of blue and violet. He clutched Ava's arm without meaning to, his fingers digging into her sleeve. "Ethan, hey, look at me," Ava said, her voice sharp but trembling. He heard her, but the void whisper drowned everything else. "Open, open, open." His pulse matched the rhythm of the void core in the tank. A heartbeat that wasn't his. A hunger that wasn't his. A voice that... "Ethan!" Ava shouted, grabbing his face. "Stay with me." Her ice aura burst outward instinctively, a crisp wave of cold that cut through the haze. Ethan gasped sharply as frost kissed his skin. The whisper faltered. The void tremor inside him recoiled from the cold. Ava exhaled in relief. "Good, good. Cold helps. I can..." Grayson's voice cut through the moment like a blade. "Impressive control, Miss Coleman, but temporary." Ava whirled on him. "Shut up." Grayson didn't flinch. He simply stepped toward the void tank, hands clasped behind his back as if explaining a museum exhibit. "You feel the resonance, don't you, Ethan? The void responds to you because you carry a piece of it. You are its anchor." Ava stepped in front of Ethan again, blocking Grayson's view. "No," she said coldly. "He's a cadet. He's human. He's..." Grayson raised an eyebrow. "Is he?" Ethan's heartbeat spiked. The void pulse stirred again. Dark heat crawled up his spine. Ava grabbed his hand tightly. "Ethan, listen to my voice. Only my voice." He forced his gaze to her. Her blue eyes were steady, grounding. A cold mist drifted around them as her magic wrapped gently around his arm. "You're here," Ava whispered. "You're safe. Stay with me." Kai edged beside them, sparks crackling nervously from his grafted fingertips. "Okay, so note to self. Void hates cold. Next time I'll bring a portable freezer?" Ethan almost laughed. Almost. But the void pulsed again, harder this time. "Conduit." His breath hitched. No, don't call me that." Grayson's expression sharpened with interest. "So it recognizes you consciously now. That's ahead of schedule." Ava snapped. "Schedule for what?" Grayson finally frowned. "This is not a conversation for children." Ava stepped forward, ice swirling around her feet. "Then talk fast before I freeze your mouth shut." Kai pumped a fist. "Yes, finally, violence." "Ethan," whispered Ava weakly, "don't." But Ava didn't back down. Grayson sighed as though dealing with troublesome pets. "Very well." He gestured toward the void tank. Ethan's awakening was not purely elemental. The rift that touched him did not simply interfere. It imprinted. Ava's voice went cold. "Explain." "Void entities cannot enter our world unless conditions are perfect. A conduit, someone capable of holding a piece of that power, must exist to anchor the breach." Kai blinked. "So you're saying Ethan is a door?" "A fuse," Grayson corrected. "A bridge, a meeting point between realms." Ethan felt bile rise in his throat.
That's not what I want to be. It's not about want, Grayson replied calmly. It's about design.
Ava's eyes widened. Design? You think this was intentional? Grayson nodded. Yes, I believe the void is choosing. Ethan staggered upright, anger sparking through the fear. Choosing me? Why me? Grayson finally looked at him with something like pity. Because your father stood in its way. The room froze. Ethan's voice cracked. My father? Grayson nodded. The Monroe Rift incident wasn't an accident. It was an attempt to stop a breach, one very similar to what resonated inside you tonight. Ethan's heart twisted painfully. My father died trying to close a rift? No, Grayson said softly. Your father died because something inside that rift recognized him. Ava whispered, horrified. The same way it recognizes Ethan. Grayson nodded. Exactly. Ethan backed away shaking. No, no. My father was a firefighter. He wasn't a mage. He wasn't... Not publicly, corrected. But he was part of an AMA emergency response team. He carried traces of void exposure from a previous incident years earlier. Ethan's blood ran cold. You're saying whatever touched him touched me too? Grayson tilted his head thoughtfully. I'm saying your father might have passed on something unknowingly, a vulnerability, or a link. Ava breathed sharply. Genetic resonance. Kai's face paled. Like inheritance? But instead of eye color, it's void corruption? Grayson nodded once. Yes. Ethan felt like collapsing all over again. Ava grabbed his shoulders, steadying him. Ethan, look at me. You are not your father's curse. Ethan trembled. But what if I am? Ava squeezed his shoulders tighter. Then we break it. Kai nodded fiercely. Yeah, curse breaking is like 80% of fantasy plots. We got this. Ethan almost smiled. Weakly, barely. But the void pulse stirred again. And this time it wasn't a whisper. It was a growl. A low, resonant rumble inside his chest, deep enough to shake the lights in the lab, to rattle the containment pod, to freeze Ava in place and make Kai stumble back in shock. Grayson's eyes widened. It's accelerating. Ethan gasped. His vision blurred, his knees buckled. Ava caught him again, but she slid backward from the force. Kai rushed to help, but sparks snapped violently from Ethan's wristband, pushing him back. The void pulse flared, erupting across Ethan's skin like cracking shadows. A voice, no longer a whisper, filled the room. The door wakes. Ava shouted, Ethan, fight it! Fight! Kai yelled, Reyes, we need Reyes, now! And Grayson whispered, It's begun. The conduit is opening. Ethan screamed, fire erupting from one arm, lightning exploding from the other, and between them, the void cracked open like a black star, and the entire lab shook.
Chapter 19. Black Sun Rising. The world shattered around Ethan. Fire roared from his left arm, violent, uncontrolled, molten. Lightning detonated from his right, jagged, blinding, desperate. And between them, a dark pulse, a black light, a pressure that felt like the air itself was screaming. The void wasn't whispering anymore. It was awakening. Ava tried to steady Ethan, but the blast of heat knocked her back. She slid across the smooth lab floor, catching herself with a burst of ice that froze the ground beneath her hands. Kai hit the wall with a yelp. Ow! Okay, Ethan is offline. Someone reboot him. The void pulse intensified. Ethan's back arched, his eyes rolled white, shadows crawled across his skin like living cracks. Grayson stepped forward, not afraid, not shocked, but fascinated. "Remarkable," he murmured. "His body is synchronizing with the Void Core's frequency." Ava forced herself up, ice spiraling around her fists. "Get away from him!" She launched spears of ice across the lab, dozens of razor-sharp shards. Grayson raised his hand lazily. A shield of shimmering blue sigils erupted around him, melting the frost instantly. "Miss Coleman," Grayson said, almost bored, "you are out of your depth." Ava snarled. "We'll see." She tried again, but Ethan's scream tore through the lab and the void pulse exploded outward. A ripple of black energy blasted Ava and Kai backward, slamming them into opposite walls. The void core in the tank vibrated violently, its glow intensifying, synchronizing with the black crack spreading across Ethan's arms. Ava's voice broke. "Ethan, stop! Stop!" But he couldn't hear her, couldn't hear anyone, because he was somewhere else. Between worlds, Ethan stood in a void of endless black, floating, falling, weightless. No fire, no lightning, just darkness. A shape formed, slowly, impossibly, like ink gathering into a silhouette. Tall, humanoid, but wrong. A distortion, like reality didn't know how to shape it. Ethan's voice trembled. "Who are you?" The shape tilted its head. Its voice came from everywhere and nowhere at once, felt rather than heard. "We are the other side." Ethan's pulse raced. "What do you want from me?" The void answered. "You open the way." Ethan clenched his fists. "No, I don't want this." "Want?" The darkness rippled in amusement. "Irrelevant." The shape extended a hand, long, fingered, distorted, reaching towards Ethan's chest. Ethan staggered back. "No, stay away!" "We chose your bloodline, long ago." Ethan's breath froze. "Your father resisted. You will not." Rage surged through Ethan, cutting through the fear. "My father wasn't some tool for you." The void pulsed, slow, mocking. "He was the first failure. You will be the second." Ethan felt something snap inside him. Not fear, not despair. Something hotter, brighter, human. "No!" he roared. Fire exploded around him, lightning crackled, the void recoiled, and Ethan lunged forward, shoving everything he had, every spark, every flame, every ounce of willpower, straight into the shadow's chest. There was a sound like shattering glass, like the scream of a collapsing star, and the world snapped back. The lab erupts. Ethan's eyes flew open. A ring of fire exploded outward. Lightning arced across the ceiling. The void pulse recoiled inward, rattling the entire lab. Ava screamed, "Ethan, enough!" Kai shouted, "Dude, you're gonna blow up the whole building!" Grayson watched calmly, eyes gleaming. So, this is the true conduit state. Ethan fell to his knees. The black cracks across his skin began to seal, fire and lightning surging to overpower them. Ava ran toward him through the chaos, shielding herself with a barrier of cold. She slid onto her knees beside him, grabbing him desperately. "Ethan, look at me! Focus! Focus!" He gasped, her voice cutting through the storm. "Ava, something was inside my head." "I know," she whispered, pulling his face toward hers. "But you're stronger." He shook violently. "It said my father fought it." Ava's expression broke for a moment. "Then you fight it too, right now, with me." Kai limped over, bruised but defiant. And me, preferably from the safe distance behind you two. The pulse trembled, shrinking, weakening. Ethan clenched his fists. No, I'm not your conduit. The void hissed. Ava grabbed his hand. Kai grabbed his shoulder. Together their magic flared. Ice, electricity, fire, light. Ethan roared, and the void pulse collapsed inward. Boom! A shockwave burst from Ethan's body, black, gold, violet, then vanished. The lab fell silent. Ethan collapsed forward. Ava caught him before he hit the ground, pulling him into her arms. Kai fell back onto the floor, panting. Okay, that was mildly apocalyptic? Ava brushed Ethan's hair from his forehead. Ethan, hey, talk to me. His eyes fluttered open weakly. I'm here. Ava closed her eyes in relief. Good. Grayson finally exhaled, stepping forward. Well, he said softly, that was unexpected. Ava rose slowly to her feet, still shielding Ethan behind her. Her voice was glacial. You're done. Grayson blinked. Pardon? You're done keeping secrets, Ava snapped. You tell us everything, right now, or I drag you to Reyes myself. Kai added, yeah, and she'll punch you, or burn you, or lecture you. Honestly, not sure which is worse. Grayson studied them, their unity, their defiance, their power combined. And he smiled, a thin, dangerous smile. Very well, he said. You want answers? Then we start with the truth. Ethan swallowed. Ava tightened her grip around him. Kai summoned a spark. And Grayson spoke. The void didn't choose you by accident. He paused. It chose you because you are the last defense against what's coming. Chapter 20. The Truth in the Dark. Grayson paced slowly before the void core tank, hands clasped neatly behind his back. His shadows stretched unnaturally long under the violet glow. Ava positioned herself between him and Ethan, ice still shimmering faintly around her arms. Kai stood on Ethan's other side, sparks flickering nervously from his graft. Ethan leaned against the wall, still trembling, every breath sharp and unsteady. The black cracks on his skin had faded, but faint traces remained like scars of a battle only he could see. Grayson finally spoke. What you just experienced, he said quietly, was the first stage of synchronization. Ava's voice sliced through the air like frost. Synchronization with what? Grayson turned. The entity on the other side of the Monroe Rift. Ethan's blood froze. Ava stepped forward, fists clenched. You said the void chose him because of his father. You never said anything about a specific entity. Grayson's gaze sharpened. There is one, a powerful one, intelligent. It has existed far longer than our world. We call it the Black Sun. Kai's jaw dropped. Okay, nope. That name is way too ominous. Ethan swallowed, trying to keep his voice steady. The Black Sun? Spoke to me. Ava's head snapped toward him. It what? Ethan took a shaky breath. It didn't talk like a person. More like pressure? Meaning. But it said my father resisted it. Ava's expression softened. Ethan. Grayson continued, unbothered by the emotion in the room. The Black Sun attempted to breach our world 15 years ago. It nearly succeeded through the Monroe Rift. Your father was part of the emergency response team sent to contain it. But he wasn't just a responder. He paused. He was the original conduit. Silence crashed across the lab. Ethan felt everything inside him go weightless. My dad? Grayson nodded. Your father carried the void imprint first. The mark, the resonance, whatever you wish to call it. But he rejected the connection, fought it, burned himself out trying to stop the breach. Ethan pressed his hand to his chest. His heart ached in ways he couldn't describe. So, he died because he fought it? Grayson shook his head. No, he died because the AMA ordered the rift collapsed while he was still inside. Ava gasped. Kai swore under his breath. Ethan's world tilted. He stared at Grayson, voice barely a whisper. You're saying my father was killed? Grayson corrected him softly. He was sacrificed. Ethan felt the floor drop out from beneath him. Ava reached for him. Kai grabbed his arm. Grayson continued, mercilessly calm. The AMA buried the truth. They sealed the reports. They hid everything about your father's real role. But the Black Sun never forgot its first conduit. His eyes gleamed. And when you awakened with the same resonance, it recognized you instantly. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut. A pressure built behind his ribs. Not void, not magic. Grief. Pain.
Ava placed a hand on his shoulder, voice steady. Ethan, look at me. He did. You are not your father's fate, she said firmly. You hear me? You're not. Kai nodded fiercely. You're Ethan, my roommate, the guy who eats cereal at midnight, not some doom magic chosen one puppet. Ethan let out a laugh. Weak, broken, but real. Grayson watched them with unreadable eyes. You misunderstand the situation. This is not about destiny. It is about necessity. Ethan wiped a shaking hand across his face. Then explain it, he whispered. Explain why this thing wants me. Grayson approached the void tank. Because conduits are rare. 1 in millions. And without one, the Black Sun cannot cross. It needs a bridge, a host, a vessel. Your father refused. He faced Ethan fully. But you cannot refuse. Ethan stiffened. What do you mean I can't? Grayson lifted his chin. The imprint has already taken root. Your body is adapting. Your magic has been altered. You confine it, but you cannot remove it. Ava stepped forward, fury radiating off her like cold flame. That's not true. We'll find a cure. Grayson shook his head. There is no cure. Ava's eyes trembled dangerously. Ethan's voice cracked. So what happens to me? Grayson answered softly. You will become stronger, far stronger than any mage at this academy. But every surge of void energy will pull the Black Sun closer. Kai whispered, like a beacon. A beacon, Grayson agreed. A latch. A crack in the wall between worlds. Ethan felt sick. So I'm a bomb waiting to go off? More like a doorway waiting to open, Grayson corrected. Ava's eyes widened in horror. No, Ethan is not opening anything. We'll shut it down. We'll train him. Grayson's gaze hardened. He cannot run from this. He cannot hide. And he cannot destroy the imprint. Ethan clenched his fists. Then what do you expect me to do? Grayson's answer was immediate. Survive long enough to control it. Kai scoffed. That's the worst pep talk I've ever heard. But Grayson wasn't finished. The Black Sun is coming again, soon. And when it does, only a conduit with conscious control of the void can stop it. Ethan stared at him, disbelief and anger boiling. Stop it? I thought the conduit helps it cross. Grayson's expression darkened. A conduit can open the way.
He paused. But a conduit can also close it. The room stilled. Ava whispered, "You're saying Ethan could stop the next breach?" Grayson nodded. "If he survives the imprint long enough to learn how." Kai looked at Ethan up and down. "No pressure, buddy. Just save the world from a cosmic nightmare. Easy stuff." Ethan swallowed. His heart pounded painfully, not just from fear, but from something sharper, resolute. He stood straighter. "So, what do I have to do?" Grayson stepped toward him. "You train, harder than anyone else, harder than your father did." Ava stepped closer, too, "and he won't do it alone." Kai grinned. "Here, here, I'm the tech guy. I push buttons and make things explode." Ethan managed a thin smile. Grayson nodded. "Good, because we don't have much time." Ava frowned. "How long until the next breach attempt?" Grayson turned to the void core tank. The black mist inside it swirled violently, faster and faster and faster. And then it formed a perfect ring, a perfect eclipse. Grayson's voice was barely a whisper. "Days." Ava grabbed Ethan's arm. Kai cursed loudly. Ethan stared at the swirling darkness. A war was coming, one his father died fighting, one he'd been born into without knowing. And now, it was his turn. His voice was quiet, steady. "Then, we start now." Grayson nodded. Ava squeezed his shoulder. Kai grinned shakily. The void core pulsed, as if listening, and the black sun whispered from somewhere far beyond, "We are waiting, conduit." Ethan exhaled. "Then wait all you want." He stepped toward the training platform. "I'm not opening anything."